30th of January. Good morning. My name is Zymenko. I'm going to be talking about a very important topic about inclusion of Russia into the shame list of the UN and what our next activities will be. This is a very important topic. The war that's happening right now in Ukraine is unique in many negative contexts, including CRSV, against civilians, against military personnel from the Russian Federation. We have a very large number of survivors, a very large amount of men, which has not been seen during any other war that's been current. This letter is sent into UN from the Ukrainians that have survived CRSV, and urging Secretary-General to add Russia over numerous reported cases of CRSV into the organization's list of shame. We will be talking about this with Daria Zymenko, representative of SEMA Ukraine, Daniil Bulgakov, representative of the Alumni network, Liudmyla Huseinova, head of the Numo sisters, Andrii Kochmuradov, head of the December 29th NGO, and online will be Iryna Dovhan, head of the SEMA Ukraine, and Oleksii Sivak, head of the Alumni Network NGO. Hello, everybody. I'd like Miss Iryna to have her report from Zoom, if she could introduce our conversation to us. I'd like our technical team to bring her on screen. Ms. Iryna, can you please tell us more about the letter and how the idea originated? Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to share my experience obtained with my colleagues. I'd also like to thank Ms. Katerina Levchenko for all our initiatives. Main point I'd like to stress: the idea of the list of shame letter is just one of our work criteria. It's a scream of pain. It's not only a letter to the General Secretary of UN, but to the whole world. In this letter, you hear the word of victims that we have been suffering in Ukraine. This letter is a common male and female community asset. Through this, in 2014, we have made our activities common. This is a common work result. Our goal is to include the Russian Federation into the list of shame of UN and having it be responsible for the crimes it has committed. In a yearly address of the Secretary-General has the list of numerous criminals. This is an instrument to make these names public. We want the public acceptance of Russia as a criminal. We are looking to work with Russia as a criminal deserves to. I know that this letter was given directly to the UN representative. Ms. Daria, you were among the people transferring the letter. Can you tell us what the reaction was and how the letter went? Hello, everybody. Last week, on January 24th, we had a meeting with Matthias Schmel. We gave him the list directly. He noted that this is a letter most powerful that he has read in the nearest time. He was very shocked by the letter, and we hope that it will be sent forward and give the results that we expect. What what was the reaction? How did you think this was going to proceed? He was not guaranteeing that this will be noted, but he noted that he will be doing everything possible to do this. We're very interested in what the next steps of this letter will happen, how UN looks through such letters and addresses. Please, Mr. Andrii, tell us more. Daria says, we hope that will be heard and some actions will be taken. We are more realistic. We do not have heightened expectations or illusions because if this is all transparent, if all decisions were made if every decision was equal and fair, Russia would be in that list already because of the things it has done. But it is not yet currently. We understand that there are points of influences that we cannot take. Russia is still part of the UN Security Council. It still finances UN. So what decision will be taken, we do not know. About the influences of this letter being seen, this decision being taken, it has to be a high amount of such cases. So Mr. Secretary-General cannot ignore this. But it's not only the number, it's also the systematic approach, that this is not an accident by some criminal or marauder, that this is a systematic policy of an invading government due to intimidation of the local civilians and prisoners. So what will happen further, we'll see. We are open to any account, even a negative response. A response that would sound like, not yet, we cannot do this right now. We do hope for a more complex answer as for the reasons of why they cannot include Russia on such a list yet, because of non-systematics or not a large amount of such cases, and we will act accordingly. Do you know the procedure of such a letter of being seen and the terms in which it should be? There are no terms so far. With Mr. Shmuel, he said in the beginning that you must understand that we have a lot of addresses to the Secretary General, and you are not even influencing whether he will be addressing it by himself. Could be one of the delegates. This was in the beginning of the meeting. In the process, Mr. Shmuel pretty much understood the severity of the case and promised to help promote our address and personally hand it to the Secretary General. Do you know, Mr. Andrii or any of your colleagues, do you know any precedents of a country introduced into the list of shame? We had such precedents. We know of such precedents. Some African countries, I think. Some countries were excluded because they have ceased to exist. But it possibly could not even be a country. It could be a group that controls a territory. Could be a military company, but because it's big, because it is in control. It can be responsible, but illegal. It still will receive subjectivity, and such a game would be included into the shame list of the UN. We have such cases. Thank you, Mr. Andrii. We know that any initiative is not noticed without civic support, as such a voice of civic support is NGOs in our country. I'd like to ask Mr. Oleksii, who's online, to join us and let us know how this initiative is being furthered and how NGOs react. I'm sorry, we cannot hear you, Mr. Oleksii. Now is good. We have handed the letter to Mr. Matthias Schmal, as our colleagues have indicated. Further is a specific strategy of publication of on the SEMA Ukraine site. They will have specific instructions on how to support our initiative. Our goal is to include the international community of activists that know of the crimes Russia is conducting on our land and beyond it. We have to contact the hearts of the people that are not set to stone yet, as the people who have been through the Russian aggression. We understand all of its cruelty, and we have to have this criminal be outed, because the international community is trying not to call Russia a criminal. They're avoiding this issue. I cannot understand why Ukraine has to support all of the international norms with Russian prisoners of war when when ours are being tortured, being devoid of food, starved. We cannot be at least silent about this. So this letter is, like Iryna said, it's our cry of pain. Not even ours. It's of those who are right now in Russian prisons and camps. Even though this is a first small step for us, currently it's a very important step to reconducting fairness, because having it not be known, it's just gives further ability to conduct. Thank you, Mr. Sivak. Mr. Daniil, can you say how your organization is in this? Along with women of SEMA Ukraine, Numo, others organizations, we are promoting this initiative. We talk with journalists, with civic activists, government organizations, and we need to further this initiative. Do you feel supported by the people you talk to? We all the time feel that we are supported, but we do not feel that it is enough. We are trying to strengthen it. When we met with Matthias Schmal, we noted that along with women, we want to have a meeting before the UN Council, because those are the people we'd like to reach out. They need to hear our words. Text is text, but we need to make ourselves heard, and we need to make them understand how much we have suffered. Maybe you can name the organizations who have supported you on Ukrainian level, on the international level, that are making your voice heard. We are still forming the list of all our actions, and we will have it on the SEMA Ukraine site in the nearest future. How we plan to proceed, how we plan, and the list of organizations who are helping us. We are also collecting signatures of the survivors and NGOs because we would like this letter to be furthered as much as possible. Adding on top of Andrii's words, even if this letter does not go any further, we will continue on fighting until we achieve fairness. A country that does such things cannot be a part of UN. With peacekeeping options is just spreading their evil across the globe. I'd like to return to Ms. Iryna, and I'd like to continue the conversation for support from international organizations in this time. I know that you are advocating for this campaign internationally, so who do you plan to have as an ally for this initiative? Microphone is still off. Thank you. We have high hopes. We expect the visit of two representatives of SEMA Ukraine to the Commission of the UN in March. And in the beginning, we were having a presentation of the movie that we have been working on for about a month about SEMA Ukraine, about CRSV survivors. It includes a testament of 5 victims and also about rehabilitation of them. But right now we have the need to spread and further this initiative, this inclusion into the letter of shame. And we will not be wasting a single moment. We will be working on this initiative. We have conducted much work on the international level. We have many connections to French organizations, women and otherwise, that received this letter of shame to them and who said they will sign it. We are also supported in countries that are in the part of the SEMA network. I have talked to Colombia. I talked to other organizations. Women of Congo that said they will sign this letter of shame because of the years overall. They know what Ukraine is going through. They support us and they respect us. There are communities all over the world that know what we are dealing with and that help us, and I know we will achieve results. Thank you, Ms. Iryna. Ms. Liudmyla, I've heard that there's a lot of organizations on this. A lot of organizations and people are signing this. What other support do you need? Thank you. I'd like to note that this is a very powerful initiative of 4 different organizations. But we're not talking only about ourselves. We're not talking about the women and men that's part of our organizations. You asked what abilities we need. I say that currently we're using this ability to reach out to all of the survivors. Even if you're not part of any organization, if you have not contacted the authorities, and we know that it could be hard for you, it is very difficult to revisit your experiences. We know there are many such people who are afraid or would not like to be reminded of this. I'd like to note that you can reach out, and we'd ask you to testify. It is going to be confidential. If you do not wish to go public, you will not be forced to go public. If you want nobody to know about your personal story, this will not be published without your allowance. But this is very important because your testament will support our work right now. What the monitoring missions of UN have seen, what our missions have seen, is what Andrii said today. Do we have enough cases for Russia to be condemned? And I know that there are very many such cases. They're shockingly abundant, but we need to show the world that we are not afraid to talk about this. This is my first address. The second is towards journalists, that I know you're helping us further this initiative. We are very welcome, and all of our participants are supporting this with their interviews. With interviews towards other survivors. I know it is hard for you as well, but we know what this is for. And this is another step towards victory, about justice being reinstituted. And on this desire for justice, I'd like to focus for a bit. Daria has already mentioned this. Andrii has also supported this in his message. Probably that in the beginning we were probably not understood, but later on Matthias heard exactly what we mean, and he decided to support us, and he understood us. So currently we probably are not putting too much faith into the UN structures for the achievement of this goal. And we see this letter as a way not only for us to achieve these goals, but for UN, for a way to show that people can be heard by them. I'd like to say also that we will continue working. We are supported by very many other civic organizations of international structures. Iryna has already said that we have a meeting in March with UN, with the EU. We will be part of all the planned activities, but currently we have many other meetings planned. In the Embassy of Germany, for example, we have the invitation of the Indiana state to give our message there, because we know how much U.S. influences international politics. We know that this is not only in New York and in Washington that this is decided, but many people have a possibility to spread information and talk about our message in other states, and we will be using such an ability. I'd like also to note that in this year, Ukraine has has headed the CRSV Prevention Fund, which is a very important network for explaining about this message and proving to the whole world that we are not the only ones who need justice. Thank you, Ms. Liudmyla, for these words. If journalists have any questions, please raise your hand and you will receive a microphone. I don't see any questions. I have one question, though. How many cases have been noted in this letter? Mr. Andrii, please. The Attorney General says it is 316 cases. These are cases about civilians. There are also cases about war prisoners, which are very, which we understand that these cases happen in while being incarcerated. And POWs are a category that 100% goes through very unpleasant stuff. Torture, violence, sexualized violence. And these are numbers which we do not know for sure, which we can only guess about, because this is not understandable. We have many monitoring missions of the UN that have been recording such information, and basically numbers are somewhere about that. Would have to note that we don't have a specific number. The cases in Attorney General are on the open cases. There's the number from the monitoring missions of the UN. I'd like to note that if there are any CRSV survivors listening to us, you should know that the monitoring missions of the EU is waiting for your testament and guaranteeing you confidentiality. It doesn't mean that if you would go to the EU monitoring mission, the Attorney General will receive that. No. We have another number connected to a pilot project of because this is a project that is first one going during an active phase of a war, of helping survivors of CRSV under the help of the Makovey Fund, about the Global Survivors Fund, of our international donors. And this idea was discussed for a very long time on how would confidentiality be supported, how people will be knowing about this initiative. But I see this project as part of ones who will be teaching a very very unfortunate subject, but we will be able to set an example that during an active phase of war, that CRSV survivors are already being helped. Also, an unforeseen event that about 646 cases have contacted us. I think this was the case this week, that 646 people have contacted us for citing cases of CRSV. This is not people who have contacted the authorities, who have not contacted EU missions, but this is people who have contacted us. And I know this number is growing. So currently, in this way, we can see the number of people who have managed to talk about their experience this way. Mr. Daniil, your comment as well? I'd like to note that the testaments that we have is a very small number. In the very least, there are people who have gone through torture, through prison camp, and are not comfortable going to the authorities, to the police. We are also looking for such people because they are alone. They are not recorded anywhere. SEMA Ukraine is working in Kherson very actively, as far as I know. A city which is under full-scale war. So in occupation currently, we have thousands of other people that are suffering through months, through years, and they will be going back in a while, and we'll have testaments against Russia being just only growing. And we have to protect such people. So if we have such an initiative, any further criminals will think twice about committing such crimes. Thank you very much, each and every one of you, for I wish you strength in this battle. I wish that Russia were included not onto the shame list of the UN, but in every single civilized organization. I'd remind you that we were talking about the list of inclusion Russia into the shame list of the UN. Media Center Ukraine will continue working. Thank you for staying with us.